Welcome to this week's online lecture. This week we're going to look at developments in the 20th century and 21st century technology in relation to assessment tasks. We're going to look at this through depth study options 6, where we're looking at the school developed options from the topics in the list in the syllabus. The depth study 6 school developed option topic for stage 5 allows students and schools to develop an option which can create engagement but also develops an understanding of the modern world and the modern world in the context of Australia. There are a number of options, of which today we are going to look at developments in the 20th and 21st century technology. In order to be authentic to the depth studies, it's important that we select the right kind of outcomes that can be chosen from our syllabus documents on page 98. There are a range of outcomes. However, we need to think about the outcomes in relation to the kinds of activities that we're going to ask students to undertake. For this option, I've chosen explains and assesses, explains and analyses the causes and effects, and applies a range of relevant historical terms and concepts when communicating and understanding the past. Vintage design or modern technologies are an interesting topic for students to attack in terms of the school developed option. Today we're going to look at a whole range of old and new technologies and how you might arrange them in a way that's interesting to students. So your mission, if you decide to take it, is to use these 7 sources in the kit as your stimulus and design an assessment task for a stage 5 group of students. Part of the task will be focused on a course to create their own poster for a recent piece of technology with an old twist. Differentiation and scaffolding may be required. Then part 2 of our task is to design the writing component as well as the marking criteria. More will be provided on our views site. This will be a practice mission to be submitted on the discussion board in preparation for your assignment 2, where we will be looking at popular culture. It's important when we're thinking about the past, then and now, that we can contextualise it for the students. I've used a range of posters found on the web to address this issue, but also tried to give them an insight into the way in which the technology might be used in terms of a poster today. YouTube will be our first example. Our next example will be looking at Facebook and the kinds of posters you could create using Facebook, old and new. Facebook is another option, remembering that for many students, the old notions of looking at the past and what history has created in terms of new forms of technology is very different. Facebook was originally thought of as something that could happen in the future. For students, however, it's something that is very much their real and current past. Another form of technology students might like to look at in terms of thinking about the past then and now is Twitter. Twitter is something that many students don't think about in terms of the way in which people communicate. However, it is the modern social technology of today. Most students would have a PlayStation or some similar form of technology, and it would be in its very current form of a PlayStation 3 or a PSP. However, thinking about gaming and being actually physically connected to a television and or computer was something in the 1960s that was thought of as something that will happen in almost, if you like, the virtual world. Nintendo Wii is another form of something that students might like to look at and think about in terms of the options that are available to them in terms of creating posters. Skype, finally, is one of the other sorts of technology that students might like to think about, particularly when using it in the classroom as a practice for engagement with the technology. Finally, your mission today is to visit the BOSTES site to get ideas about how you might be approaching writing an assessment task, as well as giving you a clear understanding of the sorts of ways in which we might develop a popular culture marking guideline, as well as the guidelines for today's task. Thank you. Created by A Captive Productions, a UWS history class production using Screencast-O-Matic. Now, proceed to the view site to commence your mission. Thank you and goodbye.